believe that we ought to start with the process in education. I feel that in our elementary, basic education, secondary and even college education, we're not engaging society, we're not engaging the needs of the workforce and the labor force into the education process. Therefore, there should be more engagement in this side. This will make the social fabric and the society determine what is needed. So once the needs are determined, then it will be easy to identify a way to reach the goals and the objectives. Here, the end result ought to be how to best get the society into being active, into being proactive, into being so engaging in the day-to-day life that they can feel it. If you cannot feel it on the local level, if you cannot feel it around the block, then there is a disconnect. The problem now that there is an apparent strong disconnect between civil societies and the academia. I see that there ought to be an approach from both sides to come together and determine how to go best on course. We have to determine our priorities. And we have to, in Jordan, we've managed lately to get out of this shame culture in parts of the labor force. But when I see 850,000 non-Jordanians working in Jordan in all walks of life, with $2.7 billion expatriated money to their countries, and then I see there is a problem. The problem is that I have over 500,000 to 600,000 unemployed Jordanians. Then I have to bring this to somehow to meet, to let bring awareness into working within what the society needs, what the daily life requires, bringing that sense of not shareholder, rather, but being a stakeholder in your life, in your society, in your city, in all of these aspects, may bring this sense to bring about the connect back rather than this disconnect. What I'm trying to say here is this. We in Jordan, unfortunately, go in different directions. When we try to reach an objective, we also use different methods. Methodology should be unified, though a different approach or a different thinking may be behind it. I can give you examples on how the city is handling this, what the people on the street, what the merchants, what traders, what professions, what the people in their own residential areas, each one thinks from his or her own perspective, not thinking of the city, not thinking of the various civil advantages of a city. Instead, each looks at his or her own interest. If we continue to do that, then I don't think we will be able to achieve neither the goals of the millennium nor even the national goals that we set. We must sit down and agree on a roadmap, agree on objectives, agree on streamlining of responsibility on how to reach this, making the citizen a stakeholder and not just a bystander or a shareholder that waits at the end of the year what dividends to receive from government or whatever. On the contrary, just being the owner of that particular objective that he or she takes in mind. Democratization is a process, and it's a great process of learning. You know, the mayor of Bogota made a statement that the best school of democracy is the public transport. It's where all are equal in sitting in the same seat, paying the same fare, breathing the same air, and sharing the same coach for destination. If that kind of feeling prevails in a city like Amman, for instance, where we don't have public transport, the individual transport is prevailing more than the public transport. So there is that disconnect again. They tell you, well, why shouldn't I take my car to downtown? But downtown is crowded. So what? They spend a half hour to find a space for parking, whereas they could have taken a taxi or taken a bus. There are public transport means, not like the West, but I'm talking about we have to accept certain ways of life, take sacrifices, and each has to contribute, must think of the general interest and not the personal interest. So democratization to us is only, in our part of the world, unfortunately, is the ballot box. That is not democracy. The democracy is to really weigh and know who to vote for, if he or she can live up to the expectations and to the objectives that we need in our city or in our society. So society has to move towards pushing agendas to a stage where we can look at who the actors are and listen carefully and look carefully at what the outcome and the end result is going to be. I believe we ought to talk to one another. We should engage. In Amman, we have introduced a program which is Let Me Hear Your Voice. It's a twice weekly program on our local radio station where we receive people from Amman at the city council. They express their views, they complain, they suggest, they engage, they challenge, and a number of times they even give the mayor and the entire executive staff a hard time because they bring facts that we in the executive body of the city, we don't even know about. They know better about their parts of the city than we do. This kind of an engagement with the civil society, with local communities, with people taking that sense of, again, the stakeholder attitude to issues of their concern, of their daily life, of their future, of their children, of their community, of their neighborhood. Take it up to the front and bring it out to discussion and have a debate, have a healthy debate. Stay away from the tribal and the ideological and somehow the religious or even sacrilegious issues that may pop every now and then. These are very minute details that we ought to discard and concentrate on the main branches of points of discussion. We ought to agree on a roadmap, and we ought to agree on the objectives. And once that's done, we can together define. You know, in marketing 101, it said that you define your market and then you identify your product. That's the same thing even in corporate governance, in any way of running an institute or a city or a country. We find it easier in running a city talking to, and this may come and sound a bit strange, to those who are deprived of various means of luxury, to the less privileged, to the non-privileged, than when we talk to the privileged. Because the privileged, they bring a sophisticated comparison. It's always like, look at Dubai, what they have. You know, that's somebody from Amman West, but from Amman East, you will never hear that comparison. They will not remind you of what Dubai. They will just remind you of what they aspire for. Be it a cleaner street, a school next door, a health program that can avail itself to their children, to a nursing center. Things, they even identify the needs of their community to the number of times the garbage truck passes by. They may say, well, why should it only pass once a week? Why can't you do it daily? So it's easier to identify with the less privileged than the more privileged, if I may say, the haves and the have-nots. And this is an approach that we as responsible people should take. And they happen to be the majority and not the minority. Giving them the attention, giving them the concern, let them speak out, and they're much easier to satisfy because they ask for things in increments rather than things in a lump sum. So again, that involvement, that engagement, that transparency in expression, that patience in listening, and not also tolerance of the environment that one can go through or be in, to a point that these are facts of life. This brings the disparity out of the issue or off the table here. In other words, we can then address all issues in equal terms with attention to the less privileged, who happen to be the ones that we ought to think of. Even the whole program was set on the economic growth and sustainability. So when the United Nations went into that program, it was sustainability, and it was the durability of that sustainability. It was not a one-shot deal, but it's an environment whereby we can aspire to a better future, bringing all parties into an effort, a joint effort for a better end result. I think you ought to revisit the basic principles. Now, on the issue of education and the workforce or the labor force and the byproduct of that, to how much out of our education system we got into the vocational training. I think we have succeeded, and I must praise and applaud the incumbent Minister of Labor for having introduced some strong programs of vocational training into the areas of tourism. And maybe that's why he has combined both portfolios, and finding tourism as a good way of implementing such vocational programs. So we have to bring you know, the craftsmen, craftsmen and craftswomen, that is, people of professions, the guilds kind of schooling and education that we need. A 2-year program between high school and the university. Emphasize on that. Give that an attention. We feel that the dropouts go to these various specializations rather than the smart ones. Everybody wants to become a doctor or an engineer. These people do not make society. These people ought to be about 2 to 3% of the society, and not like the approach now, or the need now, or the way people are going. We have 85% of our high school graduates go to the university, and 15 or 20% go to various vocational training programs. The contrary, it should be the other way around. It should be 80%. Look at Germany, look at the West, look at the United States of America and how they do it. So that is on the part of education and the labor market. Now, on the gender issue, I believe that we still ought to bring women up front. We have not been totally successful in doing that. We think that a woman, the female force, or the feminine presence in a job is only to a desk and restricted to maybe the drawing board. Now, I find in the city here that a number of my colleagues in the executive and in the middle management are much more productive, and they are more in the field than I see men. So we ought to bring this out of the best out of our female force, and just not restrict them to the office. This will also break the taboo, and I'm so happy to see that so many of the so-called veiled, meaning with a headscarf, they're more on the street, they're more in the field. I see them on construction site, and I'm so proud to see them around and so active and so productive. Now we must admit that a working young lady is even better qualified to you know, bring about a family and start a family in education and the like. So this is another way of looking at it. Now, on the areas of democracy, as I said, we need more of homegrown democracy right from the block, from the various community societies, community gatherings and groups, committees, where they can talk and they can exchange views. On corporate governance and how the transparency, justice, equality, equal chance. His Majesty has kept on reminding us time and again that the law and order is the number one objective. The second is justice. Justice in the sense of equal opportunity to all, even within the same gender, not even with the gender issue at large. I must also conclude with one basic element, is that the national appetite, we should not forget that. This can always enrich our soul and body to belong better, to move and be part of a unison. The word unison is more musical, but that's what I meant. It's the fluidity. If the soul and body are satisfied, then the presence in a group and in society is more positive, and it's the positive energy that one has to bring out from the others, so we can have that critical mass which can move us forward. So a revision and a revisit of all of this apply to straight, let's do it the other way around. Let's do it this time from bottom up rather than from up down. And you'll be surprised that if we match the 15 years of from head to toe, from up to the bottom, to the coming 10, 15 years, start it the other way around and start from bottom to head, to top. We may find a lot of interaction and points of general interest. I'd like to see more involvement of government institutions into these various United Nations and the non-governmental organizations initiatives. Sometimes I feel that these initiatives address only those who are in civil society, but let's not forget that the government in our part of the world plays the major role. And if we get them engaged to just understand the objectives of these programs, then they might be more of facilitators, so they can accommodate what civil societies may bring forward into legislation in particular. And where Parliament, unfortunately, is not engaged in these programs. I have not seen any of the parliamentarian committees engaged in any of the United Nations development and sustainable development programs, where I would have liked to see that happen.